We are live. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Week 3. Week 3 of the college football season. I am here in the lovely United States of America. How are you doing, Coach Trey? Oh, no. Trey, can you not hear me? Hello? Anyways, Trey can't hear me, so I guess we'll wait till he can hear me. Having some technical difficulties here. Hello? Hello? Um, hmm. Anyways, uh, he said, "Hold up, I'm trying to fucking fix it." Anyways, until he gets to, I guess I'll go on and kind of recap week 2. It was a weird week. Um, yeah, Notre Dame. What about Notre Dame? How about that now? All the hate that Brian Kelly got, all the praise that Notre Dame got going into the season is kind of vanishing very quickly in front of our eyes. I think that was an embarrassing performance against Marshall. I was actually impressed with their performance against Ohio State in week 1, but it left the door open for the question being, was Ohio State just bad that day, or are they bad team in general, or is Notre Dame that good? And I don't know. I really kind of thought it was 50-50, but I think that question was answered last week when they went down and defeat to Marshall. So, oh God, Trey. Oh goodness.
Audible is the best place to listen for everyone. For
Oh
story
my
people,
goodness.
comedy people, curious people, and people who want something new right now. Audible has the best of what you love.
Fucking Christ. What is happening? What a start to the show. Anyways, Notre Dame sucks. You know, yeah. Anything else crazy happened week 2? Alabama, Texas. Alabama, Texas was a close game. I think if Quinn Ewers is in that game, they are in it. I think they win the game, maybe by 10 points. So, Bama didn't show up. I think it's more of a Texas thing than Bama. I think Bama made a lot of mistakes, and that really cost them throughout the game. But Bama is just, I don't know if they're as good as we think they are, but Texas is better than we think they are because they played really well. It's just the next 3 weeks are going to kind of be a rocky road without Quinn Ewers. So their defense played phenomenal. Bryce Young is just that guy, and I kept saying, you give him too many chances, he's going to eventually make you pay. So, yeah, it's just a crazy week 2, and at the end of the day, we move on to week 3. We move on to the next road, and let's see what we've got. So, I'm just going to go ahead and go into my betting card. I've got 9 plays plus 6 player props. So Trey doesn't realize this is fucking awesome. For everyone watching, this is going to be funny. Looking at him, his facial expressions throughout. All right. Anyways, let's get to Roosie's betting card. I am 11-22 on the year. Not my best start to the season, but we are going to conquer and get above 500, and then we're going to the moon from there. So I'm going to get started on my first bet, which is Georgia, South Carolina. I'm taking the under 54 in this game at minus 115. This number has been steady since it opened. I just think Georgia's defense is too good as far as South Carolina is concerned. I think Spencer Rattler has struggled throughout the season thus far, and he hasn't really faced great competition outside of Arkansas. Yeah, he just hasn't looked as good as the guy that he was recruited to be. So I don't think Georgia puts a huge number up. I think South Carolina's defense is competent enough to keep this game or keep them from scoring every possession. So uh, with that being said, under 54, I think that's a pretty solid bet. So I'm taking that one. I'm also going to go with UL Monroe at Alabama over 60.5. Alabama coming off a bad spot last week. They won, but they didn't play to the standard that they usually play. Lots of flags. And I just think that because of the discipline issues they had with the flags, just so many flags for a Nick Saban coach team, I just think that they're going to come out with a vengeance. I know the first week they played against Utah State, went up 55-0 in the third quarter, went on cruise control, and no one scored the rest of the game. So I think we make up for that. I think the number was the exact same at 60.5 for that game. So, and I had the over, so I was kind of upset, but I'm sticking with it. I think Bama puts up a high number, and it looks like Trey's back in the stream. Hello, Trey? Geez.
Come on, bro.
You realize we could see you the entire time.
No, I really didn't have any control of my. And I apologize for that, guys. By the way, my computer was dead, and frankly, I have not. I have no idea how exactly what happened. But anyway, I guess the computer was dead, and there was too much going on. It was on 1%. I was trying to charge it. Anyway, anyway, technical difficulties. We're all
just to catch you up to speed. While you were going through that, I kind of recapped week 2. I really didn't get too in depth. I went over a little bit about Notre Dame. Really, all the praise they received preseason.
Okay.
So kind of shit on them, and then now that you're here, you had some hot takes as far as Alabama and Texas was concerned.
Yep.
I kind of went over that, and there's not really much to talk about. I think you over-exaggerate. I'm not going to require a public apology. I think you just over-exaggerated a little bit on Texas's skill. So that's what I was kind of referencing. Anything to add while we've got you now?
I'm going to be honest. No, and the whole last week was a rough week. I'm going to be honest. I kind of went away from what I've done, in the previous episodes that we've had, and I obviously had less success than obviously if you guys went along with me, that. But so I will give Texas their credence. Look, I'm not a Texas hater. I'm not. I just felt like there was nobody on planet Earth other than Texas fans that thought that they had a chance to not only win the game but to keep it close like that. And the one thing that I'll say is that anytime that Nick Saban's teams don't perform well, it's always been because they just had injuries. They just had holes. Never has it been that they were that undisciplined. Like that is like, that's not a regular, problem. Now, the issue with that is that that's so easily fixed, especially by him. So if it were just, maybe their position group somewhere just wasn't good, then like you could maybe think, okay, well, maybe Bama's got 1 or 2 losses here on the schedule, but it's fixable. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, but shout out to Texas, man. They came to play. They were the better team that day, and it wasn't close. Some suspect officiating in both directions, but I think if Quinn Ewers stays in the game, Texas wins that by at least a touchdown. That's my. And you watched it, and you felt the same thing. So
yeah, I alluded to that, and like I said, there wasn't really much to talk about week 2. So I gave 2 of my picks already because I didn't really know what the ETA was going to be on your situation. So I went with Georgia at South Carolina. I took the under 54, and I took the over in the Bama game, 60.5. And I kind of alluded to the discipline problems. I feel like Saban's got them coached up this week hard. Okay. I think they're going to come out swinging, kind of have an LSU Southern-like first half where they just come out, and UL Monroe is just not a good team. South Carolina and the Georgia game, I think their defense is competent enough to keep that number close. They're not going to score a ton, and I don't think Georgia's going to go out and put a 40 spot on them. I think they'll probably stay in the high 20s, low 30s.
Huh?
South Carolina may get a touchdown, but I see them either at 3 or 10. So those are my 2 plays so far. Maybe you want to give us a play or 2, and then we'll just keep exchanging.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and give you one, and I'm going to do this one. And again, I'm not really one to kick salt on the wound, and just excuse me while I'm writing a couple of these, because I want to have your plays in my ledger. So the one that I'm going to give you right now, and I'm just going to come out and say that we don't kick teams when they're down. We don't really make fun of kids, especially student athletes that obviously have feelings, families, and lives, but. What we saw from A&M was
bad.
The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in college football in a really long time. Can I read you something?
And Texas A&M, man. Both of them are teams that are just overhyped. Go on.
I'm going to read you something, and this tweet that I got was by way of Peter Burns of the ESPN network. Stay with me. Texas A&M quarterback Haynes King was 13 of 20 for 97 yards in the loss to Appalachian State. He was under pressure on only 3 of his 24 dropbacks and not blitzed once, according to Pro Football Focus. King was 0 for 2 on deep balls, aka 20 yards plus, and 1 of 4 on medium passes, aka 10 to 19 yards. And King ran 4 times for 27 yards and fumbled twice. May I also mind you that not only, and I will pull up the box score while I'm talking about this, may I remind you that the reason why A&M's loss was worse than anything that we saw from the Notre Dame loss. It doesn't matter if it's Marshall. They had a movie made out of it with Matthew McConaughey. I don't give any type of damns. Bro, Appalachian State came up and beat you like the actual lower dog, like ran over dog crap of the league twice. That's how you perform. And that's not to say that A&M isn't capable of doing better. They bullied them. Let me read you the box score. I'm going to read you the box score, and this is going to be the last thing that I say about them. Team stats, Bubba. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
315 total yards to 180.
Jeez. Goodness.
2 lost fumbles. 7 penalties for 60 yards versus Appalachian 5 for 55. 83 rushing yards for A&M versus 181 for Appalachian State. And I don't have the first downs, but I'm pretty positive that it was like 84 to 38 or something like that. Anyway, so we're going to do what most people are probably going to do. And I don't care if this burns me. I'm taking Miami in the 5.5. Why am I doing that? Because I don't think, and I have not heard, if Max Johnson is announced as starter, then like maybe you get like a little bit of jolt of life from the players, because you know how they respond, kind of like maybe some people might take Nebraska this week because of Mickey Joseph. Shout out to him for getting his opportunity, being the interim. Maybe you get a jolt of life, bro. Give me Miami 5.5. There it is. Zero way that you can ignore this big of a game and not put some kind of money on it. And if you have the balls to put it on A&M, then they're impressive, because that is disgusting. And it is a Stone Age offense. Jimbo should be disgusted to have put out on the field and put on film. And he's already talked about wanting to give up the offensive play calling because of that. And we're 2 games in and we're already talking about changing up the quarterback and giving the play calling to somebody else. Like, bro, if they don't fix it now, holy crap.
Yeah.
And we want them to do well because it's good for the hierarchy of football. But you and I both picked them to go under that 8.5. And as of today, that's looking hot.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just see the parallels with what we drew at the beginning. LSU had a quarterback situation similar with Texas A&M, and I think we got clarity on both situations this weekend. I think LSU made the right choice. I think A&M. I don't know if A&M made the right choice. We have experience with Max Johnson. I just don't think he's I don't think he's anything special. He might be better than his Haynes King guy. I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to like the specifics with them. I just know that they're not. I think it's the same old shit with A&M. They
Mm-hmm.
recruit well. They're always hyped up. Saban
Mm-hmm.
calls them out this year about it, and but at the end of the day, they always have a subpar or a below average season compared to their standards. So as far as the game is concerned, um, I, I think I agree with you. I think it's an okay spot as far as the 5.5. It's at A&M, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, typically you'll probably see a lot of money come on them just because you think it's going to be a big bounce back game. But that, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, Miami is not a great spot to be in for a bounce back game. So I think the game stays close. I think 5.5 is a good number, a good enough number to lay some money down on it. So I agree with that.
It's still moving, by the way. And can I just also add, guys, if y'all get to a game that we ever call and the number has gone in your favor, as in, for example, I called for Miami 5.5, now the line is 6. Obviously, take that as the number until the game starts. Whatever the better number is, that's the one that you end up going with ultimately.
Right.
So let that because that's the one that we're going to ultimately end up playing. So Miami is at 6. So mark the tape on 6.
Right. Okay. So we've got 3 total plays so far on our card. We're not going to be able to go through everything just because I have a lot of plays this weekend. So check out the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/4th and 1 podcast. It's only $1 a month. You see our full cards on there. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm 11-22. I haven't had a great start to the season, but Coach Trey has had a hot start. So at least if you're paying attention, you can tail one of us. I'll eventually rally the train back and get the troops going together. We just gotta put together a good day, man. Just one good day, see a ball go through. So 3 total plays so far. Trey, you want to give us another one?
Yeah. So another one that I want to talk about, and again, this isn't really a. I know it seems like a fade, but it's not. And the reason why it isn't is because I want to know. I really want to know what your thought process is in the Pac-12 because I took my some of these props are coming out, Bubba. Some of these props are coming out. So I really want to know your thoughts on the Pac-12 because I tried a metric. I used a math quantity for not only for the Pac-12, but I also did it with a couple group of 5 teams, and
it
didn't work. But what's your thoughts on that before I give you this pick?
Pac-12, I think it's pretty cut and clear. I think USC is easily the best team. And then you're kind of fighting with Oregon and Utah, I think, at 2 and 3. BYU is a good team. Now they beat Baylor, who we were high on, so that hurt the season bet we had. But in the Big 12, it's a long season, and I have them winning the conference. I didn't really have anything on their over regular season wins. I just had the conference win, so I'm not concerned about that right now. And I think that's wide open still with how Oklahoma has been performing. So, but back to the Pac-12, I think USC. I think they're easily the best team. I think they're a top 10 team in the country.
Easily, he says.
Yeah.
So we're already fading.
So let's go over what happened, right? So
okay.
It kind of went under the radar. Obviously the big move was Lincoln Riley, right? And he brings his quarterback over.
Yep.
So then you get the guy who won the best receiver award. What's that called? I forgot what it's called.
The Blitnikoff?
Yeah, Blitnikoff. They get Jordan Addison. I think that's his name.
Yep.
Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Him and Caleb Williams have already established a great relationship because I think he has like 5 touchdowns to him through the first 2 games, or he had a lot last game. So I think he has at least 3, maybe 4 touchdowns. And they got the dude from Oregon, the running back. So they added a great position piece for the best or the most important parts on offense, and their defense is okay enough to keep them in games. I mean, they kind of struggled towards the end of that Stanford game, but I just think with that offense, they kind of brought some Big 12 swag to the Pac-12, and that being they're just going to put their best athletes on the field on offense, and they're going to go score 40-50 and try and outscore you. So I think as far as the other teams, you've got Utah, BYU, and Yeah, I don't know, man. Oregon is there. I actually picked Oregon this week. I'm not going to go into detail on that. I have Oregon and Washington, by the way. Uh, and the only reason why I went that way is strictly because of Vegas. They've got two ranked opponents on the road each, and they're favoring the two non-ranked people in Oregon and Washington. So to me, that just tells me that they smell a snitch. They feel like they're overvalued. The rank means nothing to them. They shouldn't be where they are. And I think Oregon and Washington, I'm just literally betting those because of Vegas. Nothing crazy. I think Vegas is smarter than basically everyone as far as sports betting is concerned. But as far as the Pac-12 overlook, USC for sure, number one, and then it's kind of the rest at that point. But if I had to pick a number two, I'm probably going to go with Oregon. So
Okay, so let me ask, and I'm going to ask it a different way, but I don't want to take too much time with this. To be frank with you, what? So all the things that you said about Oregon, I mean USC rather, all the things that you said about USC. What about those things are different than whenever we gave this breakdown at the start of the season?
uh I
Like
did we go over USC
you
much?
knew that, yeah, because you knew that they had Caleb Williams, and you also knew that they got Jordan Addison. So I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
but
trying to remember.
and again, this isn't to, it's not an argument, but I'm saying that like if we're Utah loses to Florida in a close game that they quite literally, pun intended, threw away.
Yeah.
We like Florida. I mean, do you think that?
Well, those are preseason. So we made that video in the preseason, not seeing it. Now we see it. Is Florida that good of a team? They just lost to Kentucky.
Florida played USC today. What do you think the spread would be if they played in Dallas?
USC by 2 touchdowns.
In Dallas?
Yeah.
There's the
Florida can't
spread.
score. Florida can't score.
The spread on USC
Yeah.
and Florida would
Florida
be
can't
14.
score.
I bet it would be 4.5.
For who?
I bet it would be 4.5 for USC.
I think it would be 2 touchdowns.
Florida's not a 2-touchdown underdog to anybody except maybe Georgia.
Well, then fade Florida. What did you see from last week that shows you that they're going to be a world beater?
But they don't need to be a world beater to beat Southern California.
Are you kidding? I don't know, man. I don't see USC not putting up 40 points a game. And I don't think Florida has the capability of putting up more than 20.
USC's playing
during their best. Probably touchdown towards Georgia, just solely on the defense.
Okay.
I don't know how great USC's defense is. That's the thing. I think Georgia right now is the best team in the country after seeing everything.
Yeah.
I'm not proclaiming USC as a top 2 or 3 team. I just think they have the offensive capability to hang with any team. But yeah, as far as spreads are concerned, yeah, I would give Georgia a touchdown favorite. But I think with Florida, I've seen enough. Maybe Utah's not that great. I mean, they went out and put an 80 spot against some bum team. So I guess a lot of teams are like in that spot. Like LSU's in that spot this weekend. They play Mississippi State. They had a tough first game, and then they played some bum team in Southern and beat the shit out of them. So like, how are we going to know how good they are? But based on what I've seen with Florida, they've played 2 pretty solid teams so far and didn't put up a lot of points in each game and, quite frankly, struggled against a subpar Kentucky defense.
Mightily.
I don't think Kentucky's anything crazy. I'm not saying they're bad, but there are better defenses than Kentucky and that they're going to face on that schedule. So, yeah, that's my breakdown of that. But I think USC, I think they're crazy good on offense. I think their offense keeps them in a lot of games.
I don't disagree with that. I just wanted to add a parallel. So just because you went on, I don't know where you're going to go with this next, but I have it written down. Would you be in the lane of thought of we were right on Tennessee, but we just weren't quite there with Georgia?
So we're definitely wrong on Georgia. I mean, I didn't think they were going to be that good. I didn't necessarily believe they were going to be a bad team to their standards because, I mean, I think they were set at, 10.5. I think Tennessee's great. As far as the parallels between the teams that we bet on, I think Tennessee's great. They've played 2 tough games. Well, 1 tough game really. Did they play week 0? They played week 0, didn't they? Tennessee? So they played 3 games so far. So they played 2 out of 3 tough games, and especially against a good Pitt team. I think Pitt's pretty solid. They're not anything, great, but I mean they're a tough team to face this early. I'd probably compare them to Florida State a little bit. My bad. I take that back. They're definitely better than Florida State. But yeah, Tennessee. I think their defense is still sus. They got the stops required to win that game, and that was a big criticism going into the season from last year. Georgia, definitely wrong on Georgia. I mean, I think everyone didn't. If you thought Georgia was going to be that good again, I don't think anyone thought that. I think it just doesn't make sense for them to be that good, especially with how many people they lost. And after week 1, they literally said, "We're better. We're a better team," and that scares the shit out of me having that confidence in week 1. And they beat the shit out of Oregon. And Oregon is not a bad team. Oregon is a good team. And they made them look like Southern. Seriously. It wasn't even close. So,
all right.
Yeah, I think Georgia's the best team in the country. I don't think it's close right now. I think it's Georgia
Right
and
now,
everyone else.
No,
Everyone
it's, right now, it's not close.
Yeah. So, I have a couple player props. LSU player props. Kayshon Boutte over 54.5. Hammered that. Just saw the number. Hammered that because
okay.
Go feed -115 right now. I would get that as soon as possible in FanDuel because that number is going to probably escalate to at least 62. Guaranteed.
Can you walk them through that? Like your thought process on that. By the way, before you get into that, Bubba, everybody that has just obviously joined this has just started to think there has never been a more sure of himself better on player props than Rusi. So whenever I'm asking him for this, please listen up.
Yeah, no, player props are my thing, dude.
Yep.
Kayshon Boutte over 54.5 yards. Obviously week 1 did not go in according to any plan that LSU had. And you immediately saw it in week 2. They were calling plays left and right for him. I think they figured out the offense at this point. It's short passes, short quick passes. Kayshon Boutte is going to get a lot of looks this game. Mississippi State's D line is great, so that's the only thing that's concerning about this is because how much can the offensive line hold up? But if they do hold up and Jaden has time to pass, Kayshon Boutte over 54.5 is easy. I think he gets at least to 70. Maybe 80, and it's going to be a close game. So I see them throwing the ball. LSU has literally no run offense outside of Jaden Daniels, in my opinion. I think Noah Kane's good. I don't think we just haven't seen an offensive spark from the run game. I hope it comes. But over 54.5 for him, and I like Jaden Daniels over 200.5 pass yards. So I like that as well. I think, like I said, they figured out the offense. They figured out what works. And I think, we finally saw it click at the second half of the Florida State game. I think he finished that game with 200 and something yards, including 99-yard drive to end the game. And then against Southern, goes out there 11 for 12. I know it's Southern. He went 11 for 12, 140 yards, maybe a little under that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the first quarter? I mean, they didn't give a shit after the first quarter. Right. So I think Mississippi State's secondary is sus. If they just have to protect the line, if he has enough time, both of those hit easily. I think he could be in the 230s, probably 225 to be safe. But I like both of those. I didn't see a rush line for Jaden because they're probably just as mind fucked on that one as anything. So
they are pissed.
So yeah, I think as far as other LSU lines that I didn't bet on, I think Neighbors is in the ballpark of 38.5. I think that's what they put him at for the first game. So any thoughts on those 3 plays right there?
Yeah. So just to recap, I have Miami plus the 6, BYU at 3.5 on the road. They are the road dog. We are going to fade the Ducks on that one. Yeah. So with the Keyshawn Booty thing, look, they need to get him the ball. They know that, and he knows that, and everybody in the stadium knows that. I think any LSU fan would probably tell you that they need to have him fully engaged with the ball, and he's even said as much. Like the whole like scrubbing the social media thing, like that was obviously these kids have agents that are telling them, hey, look, like go and put all of your stuff on hidden real, for a little bit. Get back to the basics. Pay attention to your stuff. Like obviously, you want to kind of block out the noise a little bit. That was one of those. One of those kind of things, man, that had nothing to do with the kid not wanting to be at LSU. He wants to be there. He needs LSU. He wants to get his money. He wants to. This is his money year. He wants to go to the league. Period. What does he need to do to get to the league? Show up and show out. So I think if there was ever a time for him to do it, like this is going to have to be the game, but because State is going to come in and they are going to throw it. I said it last week. They are going to throw it 70 times. They're going to throw it. But the problem, though, that I have, and this is why I'm not touching this game this week, is because State can run the ball too. But what's crazy about how they can run the ball is that their offensive line is almost entirely new. 4 out of the 5 guys on that line are starting for the first time for them. And if a Mike Leach team can run too,
yeah,
watch out. But their defense is seasoned. They're not salty, but they're seasoned and they're good. They're not. This is a good State team. You called it. I wasn't really on State all that much. I really kind of like looked over them a little bit. And I'll be the first person to admit that. I definitely think that they're better than the experts think, and I think that right now they're the best team in Mississippi. And I don't necessarily think that that's really too hot of a take. I'm not saying that I'll feel that way when they play the Egg Bowl, but if they, as far as what I've seen on both sides of the ball today, they've had a cleaner way. Ole Miss is really good, and Zach.
If they play today, they'd probably win by a touchdown. But I think there would maybe be 120 points.
And it would be 2.5 depending on who was at home. It would be basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, so. I'd take Mississippi State in that. Yeah, man, they're good. They're a good team. Yeah, with LSU, this is a must-win game. I know the first game for LSU was considered a must-win game, but this is really a must-win game because if you look at the schedule, you've got Tennessee at home, you've got Arkansas on the road. Those 2 games right there, you can from what we've seen so far, you can easily consider those both losses. I think both teams are better right now than LSU. I think Mississippi State, you can argue, is about as close. I think we're better than. I think LSU is better than Ole Miss. I think LSU can beat Texas A&M as well from what we've seen. But those 2 games I mentioned are you can easily consider those losses. So I think this is a big game, and at the end of the day, how many must-win game situations are we going to be in as far as this team goes? So you've got to win one. You didn't win the first one, so at the end of the day, you just gotta hope and pray. I've got money on LSU. I really am looking forward to seeing the Jaden Daniels rushing yards. I think they had it extremely low last game, and they might double it from the first game. So it might be in the high 50s if I had to guess. So, and I wouldn't touch high 50s, but anything below 45, I'm hammering it.
Okay, that's fair. I'm right with you. I'm right there with you. I can. I'll get into my next one here, and I really want to try to stay. I really want to stay as far as the plays are concerned. I want to stay to 3. There's a 4th one that we'll kind of go over at the end. So, again, I gave you my credence on Texas. However, this is the classic letdown spot. It's the classic all of your energy drained, all of your emotion. It's an extremely draining process for them to go and let a bloodletting try. They wanted to beat the shit out of Alabama. They wanted to, and they didn't. And so I think, for lack of a better term, UTSA is a lot better than I think a lot of us are giving them credit for. They're not a bad football team for what they are. They're solid. They're getting right now 12.5, right? And I'm all over that. Give me UTSA 12.5. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I like this spot. There's a couple of other people that have been trying to steal my thunder with this play all over Twitter. So I'm gonna. Yeah,
no, they're a good team, and they looked really good against Houston week 1, who's a top 25 team. I believe they lost last week, but yeah, they went to, I believe, triple overtime in that game. So I think that's a good play, especially with Quinn Ewers out. From what I saw from the backup, I don't see a lot of offense unless Bijan just absolutely carries them every single drive, which is going to be tough for a running back to do. So I've got Bijan rush touchdown at -220. I think that's a lot of juice, but my God,
He's gonna hit. I mean, he's gonna hit
it's
one.
my.
Put it in a parlay prop.
You could parlay it. I just a couple. I know we're kind of running over our normal time, but Marvin Harrison Jr. receiving touchdown -145. I think him and C.J. Stroud have established a good relationship as far as the field is concerned, and I know Jackson Smith and Jigba is coming back this week. He might be limited, and I think with the red zone targets that Harrison has got so far, I think that stays steady.
Yep.
The old famous Emory Jones rush touchdown has gone down to +130, baby. +300 hit it at week 0. So I'm still touching that because they're playing a bum team. And my final one I'll give out is just my 4 most confident plays in a parlay. I like LSU +7.5 alternate spread. I like USC money line. I got Kansas State on the money line and Ole Miss on the money line. You get all of that for +111. I think that's pretty good odds for basically 4 pretty guaranteed lines. I know LSU, I gave them 7.5. If you want to go ahead and get funky with it and give them a money line as well, probably goes up to +400. So I like those plays. They're not all of our plays because we've got our full cards on our Patreon, patreon.com/4th and 1 podcast. Anything else you want to add, man? I think we had some technical difficulties towards the beginning of the stream, but we are figured out. It happens, and no one's perfect. So, any last words for the week 3 betting card? Any last thoughts?
There's going to be, I will candidly say there will be at least a couple of more plays on my Patreon card. Another one that I've looked at, I haven't decided if I'm going to bet it yet because I really want to be moved by the line. I want to dig into this a little bit more, but one I've been paying close attention to is Tulane at 14.5. And the reason why I've done that is because I've been extremely, extremely interested, and I'm gonna pull this up here, but I'm extremely interested in looking into games that you and I don't know anything about. And so why that is because I try to pick one game every single week that I haven't watched yet, like a team that I haven't watched, go back, watch their film, and see what I think. Do I think Kansas State is going to win the game? Yes, I do. Do I think that Kansas State deserves to win the game? Yes, I do. Do they look impressive? No, they do not. So,
Whoa.
No, they do not. They don't look impressive. Because they beat Alcorn State and UMass. Like, let's pump the brakes on them not being like the 96 Hurricane.
Wait, you talking about Kansas State?
Yes.
Kansas State beat Missouri.
I'm sorry. I'm reading the Tulane schedule. But anyway, that I just gave away my point. But no. So my point with it is that I've taken Tulane in 3 bets in my life. I'm taking Tulane, and that's my mistake. Even Jesus flipped tables in the temple. Nobody's perfect. But even Anthony can admit.
Fucking Alcorn State for Tulane.
Oh, I'm sorry. They beat South Dakota and Missouri. They're great. So anyway, getting to my point is that I think that the one time if I were to ever tell somebody to take a team from Louisiana, if they're the one Louisiana team, it would be twice. I got burned on them twice, and the last time that I got burned on them, I said I will never fade them again if the number looks good. And the number does look a little bit decent. I haven't played it yet. I haven't put my own money on it yet, so just fair warning on that. But I have been looking at the line. There's going to be a couple of mischievous numbers going this way, so just pay attention to it. It's another one of those plays that I've seen all over Twitter. And everybody's trying to – as soon as I make it, I try to go against the public and go, what can I bet that the public's not all over on? Well, this is not one of them. So
said Alcorn State as a point. What's the number on that game?
Right now it's 13. Right now it's 13.
Look, you can clip me laughing at you if they cover, but man.
It's on my body, Bubba. On my body.
All right. I think that's it for us, man. LSU, big game. I've got some money on them this week, but let's really look to hammer Kayshon Butte. But yeah, over 54.5. Get that while the number is there, because I am telling you, this is going to be maybe 10 yards more by the time the game starts. So get it now. I think that's it for us. Yeah, that's it. So we will see you. This is our 8th episode, man. We're kicking strong here. So patreon.com/4th and 1 podcast, $1 a month. Support your boys. Subscribe to
Like and
the
subscribe.
channel. Please subscribe. That's all we ask. I don't even care. I don't care if you watch. So, all right, boys. See y'all.